Good evening, everyone. I welcome all the speakers and our audience for today's webinar on the topic Driving Long-Term Profitability for Mills and Manufacturers Using Cotton USA Solutions, brought to you by Cotton Council International in association with The Textile Magazine. By default, all the attending audience mic and webcam would be on mute. But to all those people listening, if you have any particular question, please use the chat window to type your question. And a person from Cotton USA is going to take up this question after the webinar, and he's going to be asking the speakers so that they could reply to your question once the webinar is over. Now, that said and done, without further ado, I would like to welcome our first speaker for today's webinar, Mr. Piyush Naran. He is a representative of Cotton USA in India and Sri Lanka. And he has a sound knowledge of the fiber market. He would be giving a short presentation about his company, and he would also be introducing the other speakers once his presentation is over. All right, I give the mic to you, Piyush.
Thank you, Ganesh, for the introduction. Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to everyone. It's a great pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of Cotton Council International to our Cotton USA technical webinar. Year 2020 was unusual and had led to unprecedented business and personal situations for all of us. Indian spinning and textile industry had come to standstill during the lockdown, which began in March last year. As the opening phase began, Indian textile industry, especially cotton spinning sector, which as per the industry estimates is now operating at 90% and has shown a great resilience and is spearheading the recovery of textile industry and playing a significant role in rebounding of the Indian economy. All of us have heard this time and again, never waste a good crisis. This is the time for innovations and new ideas and convert them into opportunities. The businesses are rethinking on every aspect of their operations to make them more effective and profitable. We at Cotton Council International have been continuously gearing up how we can add value to your businesses. Quality, sustainability, and performance have been the key foundations of US cotton. Today, during our webinar, we would talk about how quality of US cotton crop has been continually improving, and you will learn from our technical team how our new program, Cotton USA Solutions, have been helping our Cotton USA licensee mills to improve the profitability in their spinning operations. Today we have with us Mr. Jörg Bauer-Sachs. Jörg would be explaining you about a new program, Cotton USA Solutions. Jörg would be joined by Mr. Roger Gill-Martin, who is going to present a case study on how Cotton USA technical team has been able to deliver higher profitability to one of our licensee mills. I would request you to please submit your questions in the chat box. We would have Q&A session after this presentation. So let me begin with highlighting the US cotton crop quality, specifically for the upland cotton. In year 2020, US cotton growers have produced almost 15 million, to be precise, 14.95 million bales. And out of these, 13.8 million bales have already been sold. 8 million bales have already been exported. We are expecting close to 15.5 million bales to be exported this year. If you see at the export to supply ratio, it is 74%, which is highest since 55 years, since 1965. This is even 10% higher than the decade average. So this tells you about the demand for US cotton, which is very, very strong. India has been a top consumer for Supima. Now is the time that US upland cotton has to be looked. You would see how the quality of US cotton fiber is improving, especially for upland cotton. And now we have also our technical support for the mills to achieve the performance and to keep them ahead of the competition in terms of profitability and yarn quality. As we speak, more than 13.5 million bales have been classed for the current crop year. So Ganesh, if we would move on to so this is the presentation that we have put for you. So the information that we have taken here is from the Cotton Incorporated, who have fetched this information from USDA. So we will be talking about some of the key parameters: micronair, length, strength, uniformity index, and the color grades. Next slide, please, Ganesh. So let's first talk about the micronair. If you see the trend in last 10 years, micronair have been pretty much consistent. It has been in a range of 4.39 to 4.53. It was only in the year 2017 that the micronair average dropped to 4.05. So the micronair, which is the key parameter for dyeing of the fabric and for the yarns has been pretty much consistent for all these last 10 years. So if you can move to the next slide, please. So let's see the distribution of the micro. I mean, this is also very important to see what is the distribution of microNS. MicroNS distribution, again, if you see, has been very much in a broader range, mainly for the base and the premium range. So if you see the range, which is between 3.6 to 4.8, most of the US cotton crop has been classified in this microNS range. So we go to next slide, please. So let's talk about the strength, another key parameter for any cotton crop that you see. So if you see the strength here, the strength has been pretty much moving in the upper range of 30s and has been, if you see there has been a continuous improvement and increase in the average strength of US cotton upland crop. Next slide, please. So let's see how the distribution of the strength looks like. So majority of the US cotton crop is in the premium range of the strength. So if you see, again, more than 95% of the crop is in a range of base and premium. Next slide, please. Length. I think one of the first thing that all of us see is the length. And the quality of the upland cotton, especially on the length side, has been increasing every year since last 10 years. And now as we see, we have almost class 13.5 million bales for the current year, and if you see the average staple length is 37.1, which is even higher than the previous year. So this tells you about the how the length has also moved up in terms of the quality of the US cotton crop. Let's go to the distribution. Next slide, please. This tells you the story of the consistency again on the length side. Majority of the crop has the staple length which is higher than 35. So which means, we are mainly in the category of 34s and up. Let's go next. Length uniformity index, another key parameter to tell you how much consistent we have been in all these years. This is one of the speciality of US cotton that we have remained pretty much consistent if you talk of the length uniformity index. It has been pretty much between 81 and 81.5, which tells you how much consistent we have been all these 10 years. Year after year, we have been, ranging between that consistency. Let's go to the next slide. This gives you the distribution. Again, majority of the crop for 2019 has been, for the base and the premium side. Next slide. Color and deep grade. So as we talk, this is the information from 2019 crop, and what you see here is majority of the crop has been graded as white spotted. So if you club between white spotted and light spotted, we are beyond 95%. Next slide. Distribution again tells you the story how we have majority of the US cotton crop is again ranging between the base and premium range, and we have very less which is beyond 5 and 6 and 7 grades. Yeah, so this is what we wanted to explain to you about the US cotton quality. Next slide, please. And if you want to have more information about the current situation of US cotton crop, you can always go to this website www.cottoninc.com, fiber quality, crop quality reports, and you can access the reports over there. So this is the end of the presentation for the cotton quality, and now is the time that we move on to our next presentation. And it's a great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Jörg Oversack. He is the head of technical services at Cotton Council International. Jörg has over 30 years of experience in the field of manufacturing and sales, especially the textile industry and the textile machinery industry, working with multinational enterprises, collaborating with JV partners, officials from government bodies, and state-owned industrial zones with special focus in Asia and East Europe. Over to you, Jörg. Take it away, Jörg.
Thank you, Piyush. Thank you very much. So first of all, thanks to Mr. Garnish and the Textile Magazine for arranging this webinar today. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Jörg Bauersachs. I'm the new head of CCI Technical Services, and I will tell you a little more about my background in a few minutes. Today, I'm going to walk you through this presentation introducing Cotton USA Solutions and the new tech team. Next slide, please. My presentation will cover the topics listed in this slide. Firstly, I'm going to introduce our tech team, which was extended by some new faces during the last couple of weeks. You'll learn about the background of our tech team members and see the tech team's vision and objectives. Then secondly, I will introduce our new Cotton USA Solutions program by showing a short video clip, followed by a detailed introduction of the 5 offerings that are included in this campaign. Next, I will explain how the new Microsoft HoloLens technology works by presenting another short video clip. I've also prepared some information about our new Microsoft Dynamics 365 field service software module that we are currently customizing to fit the needs of our team. At the end, I will round up my presentation with a short summary. Next slide, please. Now, let's start with the introduction of our CCI tech team. Our team has members from the US, Europe, India, and China. Between them, they have combined consulting and managerial experience of over 200 years running and advising textile companies and mills in North, Central, and South America, Europe, Asia, and Australasia. Over the last 3 years, we have successfully completed projects with CCI partner mills in Bangladesh, Pakistan, Indonesia, Vietnam, Turkey, and the Americas. The one goal for the team is to achieve higher profitability for our mill partners. The next slide, please. Okay, now I'd like to come back to tell you a bit more about my own background. I started working with CCI on May 1st, 2020. I'm German national and I'm working out of my office located in Augsburg, near Munich. I consider myself as a senior operating executive with more than 33 years of experience in the textile and garment industry. Throughout my career, I had a chance to gain experience in the entire process chain, from yarn manufacturing, running mills in Europe and Asia, fabric production, sales of textile machinery in the Far East, and then all the way down to garment making. In my last assignment, I was responsible for a $350 million greenfield project in Vietnam for vertical production of yarn-dyed dress shirt fabrics. Now, the gentleman on the right, Roger Gilmartin, many of you may know him personally, is a special advisor to the team. With his vast experience in the textile consultancy business, he's a very valuable asset to the team, and we are glad that he is still supporting the CCI tech team despite his age. Next slide, please. This is the organization chart of the entire team. On the top, you see a picture of our executive director, Mr. Bruce Astley. He was the one who was driving the idea about 5 years ago to establish this team of experts in an attempt to support our CCI representatives in the field. We talked about myself and Roger Gilmartin already, so let's have a closer look to the rest of the team. I'd like to start from left to right and begin with Jürgen Plessing. Jürgen took over the role as the technical coordinator of our team just in January this year. With his great experience in various after-sales service functions, he kept the team organized and makes our work more structured and efficient. Next in line is Dr. Mohammad Tausif, a Pakistani national based in Leeds, UK. Dr. Tausif holds a PhD in technical textiles from the University of Leeds and works as an associate professor at the University of Leeds, teaching textile technology. Then we have Vijay. With 40 years of experience, he has almost done it all. But I would like to emphasize that we consider Vijay as the Bay laydown guru in our team. Vijay is an Indian national and works out of Indonesia. Now, Neeraj is the youngest member by age of our team. Neeraj was a former service technician of the European textile machinery brand Saura and Rita. Neeraj is an Indian national too, and he is based in North India. Next is Mike, the son of a cotton farmer, worked almost his entire career with the machine manufacturers Schlafos, Rieder, and Tritschler. So with Cradle literally standing in a cotton field, Mike has vast knowledge about US cotton. His core expertise lies mainly in the area of open-end spinning. Mike is a US national and works out of Moore, South Carolina. Now, Frank's career started in spinning in 1997. Frank is Chinese national, and he is based in Suzhou, Jiangsu province. With over 20 years of experience in the spinning industry, he's taking care of the Chinese market. Before he joined CCI in 2019, he was working as well with Schlafos and Rita, lately as training manager for combing machines. Finally, we have Chris Faber. He joined CCI on December the 1st. Chris is a German national too, and he is based near Mönchengladbach, Germany. Chris is a true R&D expert. Out of his 34 years of service, he spent 20 years alone at Trützler in Mönchengladbach as head of the research and development department. We are glad that Chris joined CCI recently. He was also working with Schlafos and Uster Technologies in his earlier years. With his detailed knowledge from the machine manufacturers, he's truly a great strengthening of the team. Now the next slide, please. Right. Now I come to talk about the objectives of the tech team. So what we do is basically helping you to get the best out of US cotton. We help our customers to achieve higher efficiencies, lower the cost, and subsequently help you to strive for a higher quality level. The tech team has vast experience in teaching the mill how those goals can be achieved. And we can provide our support either through our field services or with our latest tool, our brand new mill mastery courses. But more about this a couple of slides later. Next slide, please. In addition to the previous slide, the ultimate objective of the team is to increase the profitability of the mills, with a focus on demonstrating how optimizing the use of US cotton and other mill practices results in making more money. Because at the end of the day, it's actually not about making yarn, it's about making money. This is the slogan of our CCI tech team. And the next slide, please. Basically, it's simple. The tech team's mission is to explain to customers that by using such bales of cotton shown in the picture left, they will never be able to produce good quality yarns. And no, it's not organic cotton, what you see there, although the mushrooms would definitely make a good stew. With having the right measures on hand, through knowledge, experience, and enthusiasm, our ultimate task is driving the customers towards making that decisive change, buying the best cotton in the world for their manufacturing processes, US cotton. Next slide, please. Next, I would like to present the vision of the tech team. Here it is with little arrogance to say we want to be the leading technical cotton spinning consultancy in the world. Just like in their field, the Boston Consulting Group, for example, McKinsey, or Gertzi, the renowned global consultancy firm in the textile industry. But it is a fact that no one else in the world can match our expertise in utilizing US cotton. And the next slide. All right, and now I'm coming to the main part of my presentation, introducing Cotton USA Solutions, our brand new set of services that goes above and beyond to help build our customers' business. Simply the leading cotton technical consultancy. The next slide. The 5 offerings of Cotton USA Solutions are mill studies, the mill exchange program, CCI technical seminars, the new mill mastery courses, and finally, one-on-one mill consults, our core discipline, be it in person or virtual, using the new Microsoft HoloLens technology. Those 5 offerings were created to make our customers' business more profitable, and it all comes complimentary for US licensees that in addition are signing up for the US Cotton Trust Protocol. Now, next slide, please, and there, let me show you this short video clip. And Ganesh, if you please would play it now.
If you're looking for greater profitability, improved productivity, and the latest techniques, look to the cutting edge in cotton, Cotton USA Solutions. This new cotton consultancy was created to take mills and manufacturers to the next level of success, with a team of experts who provide an unmatched global perspective. informed by our work with over 1,500 mills in 50+ countries. Our offerings can be in-person or virtual and are complementary for licensees, starting with mill studies. This collection of research is based on third-party, controlled in-mill testing and provides hard data to build your business, like new spinning protocols that increased ring frame productivity over 8%, blend insights, and more. Next is the Mill Exchange program that lets you exchange ideas with mill executives from around the world. You'll tour licensee signature mills and share proven techniques in cotton yarn processing. Cotton USA Solutions also offers technical seminars. They provide training in buying, spinning, handling, and more using the latest U.S. cotton techniques from across the supply chain. Next, our Mill Mastery course, where you can gain a new level of expertise with a comprehensive course of study from raw cotton to bale management to quality control to make you a true spinning master. Finally, there are one-on-one mill consults, offering you customized consulting services for proven cost savings from 10 to 25%. Cotton USA Solutions, with Mill Studies, our Mill Exchange program, technical seminars, Mill Mastery course, and one-on-one mill consults. We're here to take your business to the next level. Learn more at cottonusa.org/solutions or contact your representative. Cotton USA Solutions.
Thank you, Ganesh. Great. Now let's come back to the next slide. Yes. Now let's have a closer look at those 5 offerings. The next slide, please. The first one is Mill Studies. Every year, CCI commissions renowned independent third-party textile consultants such as the Gertzi Organization and Werner International to undertake research projects to demonstrate the superior technical and financial performance of US cotton during yarn manufacturing and the downstream processes, including garment making. These studies have been executed in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Indonesia, and Turkey. The studies are traditionally focused on addressing issues and subjects raised by our customers or observed by our tech team during their mill visits. This year, despite COVID-19, we have 3 projects underway, including one being conducted by a specialist environmental consultancy that will take the data gathered from a previous study that showed the financial and technical advantages of using US cotton in the manufacture of knitted garments and examine the environmental advantages that should accrue from the higher machine efficiencies and less fiber losses that the original study clearly demonstrated. And the next one, please. So this mill study was recently finished by Sriwijaya Textech Solutions, Indonesia. The objective of this exercise was to study the types of NEPs and its impact in US and non-US cotton up to garments. We have chosen this topic because some people say that the NEP level in US cotton is always on the high side. But the results from this study clearly demonstrates that even if US cotton starts rather at a higher NEP level, at the end, in the yarn and the fabric, US cotton achieves the lowest NEP level compared to all other types of cottons which were processed in this study. In US cotton, one would find predominantly mechanical NEPs, generated mainly in ginning and through mechanical harvesting. But those type of NEPs can be easily removed in the cleaning, carding, and combing process in spinning. The next slide, please. The second one is our mill exchange program. We began these mill exchange visits 4 years ago, initially at the suggestion of our country representatives in Thailand, Indonesia, and Vietnam. The visits were so successful that the program has now been expanded to include mills in Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, and Turkey. Signature mills are those mills in each country that we deem to be world-class and that offer the invited participants in the program the opportunity to see advanced operations, exchange ideas, and learn from each other. A side benefit has been the number of successful trading relationships that have been established through the program. 89% of participants found this program to be a valuable teaching and networking opportunity. Next slide. CCI organized MEPs in 2017, 18, and 19, but due to the COVID-19 virus, it was impossible to plan for this event in 2020. Our MEP guests made trips to Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, and Turkey. The host mills were our signature mills, Tai Rung, Benang Chitra, and Tien Nam. Guest mills came from Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, Pakistan, and Turkey. And the next slide, please. So now there would be another short video clip that shows impressions from the Mill Exchange program. Ganesh, please.
Congratulations on having such a beautiful film. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ganesh. And now the next slide, please. Right, technical seminars. We have successfully conducted technical seminars in Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, and Indonesia with imported partners like Rita and Murata. Those and others have become an important part of the service and support we offer to our customers. We have planned some seminars also for this year, which at the moment looks as though they will have to be conducted virtually or as a hybrid. Over the last few months, we have been successfully using the advanced virtual meeting platform offered by 6Connects to hold cotton days in all of our markets, and depending on demand, we may continue using this technology for our technical seminars in 2021. Next slide, please. Now the Mill Mastery courses, I've mentioned it already. From early March up to today, our team of specialists have been unable to travel to visit customers, so we have used that time to prepare a best practices manual based on the experience of our team and the hundreds of customer visits we have made over the last 3 years. The 15 modules that have written address all aspects of US cotton yarn manufacturing, including fiber selection, processing, quality, and process control, profitability, and the economics of spinning. We are adapting these modules to be the basis of the MMCs that we started to introduce this year. We will offer 2 levels of courses, beginners/intermediate and for experts. Now the next slide. Chris Färber and Dr. Tausif are in charge of designing Mill Mastery courses, tailored for the customer's need. The diagram and the picture of the cotton fiber bead here is just an example of what kind of information the course conveys to the students. In this case here, it's the upper half medium length of the fibers. And the next slide, please. Now, coming to one-on-one mill consults, our core discipline. One-on-one mill consults are usually undertaken at the request of a customer who has asked their local representative for our help, perhaps to improve their yield or to delve deeper into a quality issue for their customers. As a first step, myself as the head of CCI Tech Services or a senior consultant will visit a mill, usually for 1 day, to see if we can be of assistance. Then, assuming we can help, they will then arrange for one or more team members with appropriate experience of the issue observed to return and undertake a more detailed intervention. This can take from 1 to 4 days, usually 3, when our team will make specific recommendations to address the issues observed. In some cases, this field service session can last even longer depending on the issues observed and the size of the mill. Where appropriate, a follow-up visit will be programmed to monitor the impact of our recommendations and to assess if further action is necessary. And the next slide, please. So here we have the path to success in a nutshell. A CCI field service session lasts usually 4 days, in exceptional cases even longer, as already mentioned. Preliminary findings are presented at the end of the visit, followed by detailed results, including recommended solutions after 2 to 4 weeks. All right, next one, please. Now, the virtual mill doctor. This is an exciting new development last year in the portfolio of services we can offer to our customers, necessitated by the COVID-19 travel restrictions. We have successfully tested this technology in 2 mills in Thailand at the end of September last year. Meanwhile, we have successfully passed a VMD session in collaboration with an important customer in China, where by the time we have finished the program, we will have generated annual savings in excess of $650,000 by improving their yield through the use of the BMW technology. The tech team is currently engaged with 2 more customers in China using the HoloLens in support of our Chinese consultant on the ground. In Pakistan and Bangladesh, we started first VMD activities as a hybrid beginning of this year. The remote assist technology was also tested in Mexico for 3 mill visits end of last year. Nothing beats the personal interaction and relationships we establish with a live mill visit. But until we can get back on the road again, this VMD technology is helping us to continue our work. Moreover, the technology can definitely be used for post-COVID times, as we can make our work more efficient by adding fellow consultants virtually and keeping the cost low at the same time. Next slide, please. And this is how it works. The HoloLens needs to be connected to a mobile Wi-Fi hotspot, as office Wi-Fi is not available throughout the entire factory floor. The HoloLens wearer needs to cover the area of the speakers, as indicated by that yellow arrow there, to ensure that the voices of the callers can still be heard in noisy areas, as for example in between the aisles of some spinning frames. The HoloLens comes with a special application which is called Remote Assist, which operates the functions of the camera. Finally, the Remote Assist app connects the callers via Microsoft Teams. Next slide. This picture was taken during our pilot in 3 mills in Thailand. And next slide, please. I think there is coming something else before we come to another video. There is another slide. Yes, exactly this one. And this is like, thanks to the high resolution of the built-in cameras of the device, the viewers on Teams back in their offices, they can clearly see the neps and the yarn, which are shown here on that blackboard. So now the next slide, and there we have prepared another short video clip, which gives you some impressions from our pilot mill tour in Thailand.
Bale cotton leather. If you looking the cotton USA here.
Yes, I see it clearly.
Am I understanding that they themselves are retesting every bale to get that information on how they're storing this, or are they using the information they get from Green Card? Now, Jörg, we can see some discoloration in the bales.
Exactly.
Over to the left-hand side of the bales, We see some
Yes.
yellowing.
Let's just take something. Bring it to you here. Oh yeah, there's more trash. This is more, yeah, there's definitely more trash here. So, get rid of this one. I hang up now. Bye for now.
Excellent. Thank you, Ganesh. Now to the next slide, please. Now we are coming to our current planning tool, the Microsoft Dynamics 365 Field Service module. This business application was originally designed to help organizations provide on-site service at customer locations. The application combines workflow automation, scheduling algorithms, and mobility to ensure the success of field workers when they are at the customer site to troubleshoot problems. And the next slide. Among the main functions of the system that the tech team will be using is processing work orders, manage resources. The screenshot in this slide here shows this function. And then communication tools, a mobile application, asset management, billing functions, and time tracking. Finally, it offers analysis for reporting on key performance indicators for managing work orders, planning activities, and interacting with customers. Next slide, please. Now I'm coming to my summary, and to wrap it all up again, let me recite all offerings again. Our mill studies, CCI Mill Exchange Program, the technical seminars in various countries, our brand new mill mastery courses, and finally, one-on-one mill consult, our core discipline, with audit, field service, and follow-up, either in person or virtual. And all these services and offerings are complementary for CCI licensees, including USCTP membership. Next slide, please. Cotton USA Solutions was designed for one single reason: to support our representatives in serving our customers and ultimately help our licensees to increase the profitability of their mills. And the next one, please. Now, for more information, please go and visit our website under cottonusa.org. All offerings under solutions are embedded there as well, or simply contact your representative, Pirsch. Now, the next slide, and I think that was it then. Exactly. Now we are happy to answer your questions, and thank you very much for your attention. And back to you, Pirsch.
Thank you, Jörg, for that very detailed explanation on Cotton USA Solution. And I will want to reiterate what Jörg has said before, that all these phenomenal services that we are offering to our experts who have more than together like 300 years of experience is all complementary for our Cotton USA licensees and US Cotton Trust Protocol signatories. So if you are a signatory of US Cotton Trust Protocol, or if you are a licensee, you can come ahead and we'll be more than glad to offer this service to you. So Jörg is now in Thailand, but we are very soon expecting him to come to India, and he can start traveling and meeting you in person.
Hopefully soon.
Yes, we are hoping. And now is the time to have our next speaker on board, and our next speaker is Mr. Roger Gilmartin. And Roger Gilmartin is a special advisor at Cotton Council International, and it's a great honor to me to introduce Roger to all of you. In our 56 years of career dedicated solely to textile industry, you won't see much these days. 56 years dedicated solely to textile industry. Hats off. Roger has personally advised major private and public sector companies, organizations, and governments in 56 countries, and has held senior management and ownership positions in some of the industry's leading private companies. Graduating from Bolton University in 1964, Roger spent 9 years with Cotols Limited in United Kingdom before leaving to join Werner International, a division of Werner Associates Inc. After 18 years with Werner, Roger was one of the 3 partners running a consulting practice with 3,000 clients in 70 different countries. Whilst with Werner, he led teams advising the World Bank and governments of Australia, Pakistan, Turkey, Italy, and the UK, and the Republic of Ireland. In the private sector, his client list included many of the world's most successful textile businesses. In 1990, Roger was offered the position of chairman and CEO of a division of Johnston Industries, a textile business registered on the New York Stock Exchange. Over the next 6 years, he took this company to a leadership position in the US textile industry and served as a board member of ATMI and was deputy chairman of ATMI's Committee on International Trade. He joined Covington Industries as president and CEO in 1996. Covington were a New York-based home furnishing converter, and in 2006, with the support of the private equity partner, he bought the business from the owners. Subsequently, the business was sold, and in 2010, Roger joined O'Rourke Group Partners as managing director. In the partnership with Mary O'Rourke, they led the US textile and apparel industry's most successful consulting practice with major clients in every sector from fiber manufacturing to retail. With the untimely passing of Mary O'Rourke, Roger formed his own consulting company, Tribal Consulting. So he had Tribal Consulting now, and Roger was the founding member of CCI's technical servicing team and now acts as a special advisor. He's a chartered textile technologist, vice president of the Textile Institute, and has been elected chairman designate of the Textile Institute Council. He is a dual citizen of UK and USA. If I've missed Roger, please add on something. So over to you, Roger. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry about that. I did send them a much shorter bio so that you wouldn't have to listen to all that. So, but anyway, I'm sorry that was a little long. I also apologize for the fact that I'm a little overdressed today. I don't normally wear a suit and tie in my home office in Scotland, but I haven't actually worn a tie since January of 2020. So I had trouble this morning actually remembering how to do that. I'm speaking to you from my home office in Scotland. I'm about 1.5 hours south of Edinburgh. Scotland and India have similarities in the sense that we also have a rainy season in Scotland. I think the difference between Scotland's rainy season and India's is that our rainy season starts on January the 1st and ends on December the 31st. So, and today is no different. If I showed you outside the window, it's pouring with rain. I'm going to describe to you this afternoon an intervention made by our team of specialists that York has described in a mill in China last year under very strict COVID-19 travel restrictions. I just want to stress to you that normally the work that we do with our customers is in the strictest confidence, but both the mill and ourselves were so happy with the results of this particular intervention that they agreed that we could use this study publicly. Can I have the next slide, please? Yeah, we began, as Jorg said, we began offering technical service to customers of US Upland Cotton, first of all in Bangladesh in 2017. And as Jorg said, we've successfully expanded and introduced the service throughout the Southeast Asia region. In 2019, we decided that we wanted to expand the service to China. There are obviously, particularly when you look at the language capabilities of our team and where we're all from, one of the major challenges in China is the language to do the kind of work that we want to do. So the first step was obviously to recruit a Mandarin-speaking specialist. And the gentleman concerned joined us in the early part of the autumn of 2019. At the end of the year, in December, he began a tour of our more important customers in China with our local representatives to, first of all, introduce himself, but then to explain to those customers about the Cotton Solutions brand and the portfolio of services that they could have. Amongst the customer visited is Yangsu Ueda, who we're going to talk about today. Next slide, please. So here you see a photograph that we took of the entrance to the mill. We decided from the outset in discussing China with our team there that we felt we needed to find a strong US cotton customer who we could work with to help them technically derive a greater financial benefit from their use of what we believe is our superior fiber. In May of 2020, actually at the beginning of the month, Ueda approached their local representative in China to see if we could send one of our team along to assist them with some issues that they had. This was just the opportunity that we were seeking. Next slide, please. For those of you who don't know, Yangsu Ueda are a major textile conglomerate in China. They are fully vertical all the way from spinning through to manufacturing of bed linens, apparel, and they also serve the automotive sector. They're very highly regarded both domestically and internationally. And I would say we would consider them as a leading company in their field. They produce carded and combed yarns using basically all the technologies available. And they spin cotton, polyester, tencel, and other blends. They're spinning yarns in a range from 16 to 160s. And the main end uses for those yarns are either knitting, weaving, or going into automotive fabrics. They are a Ooster recommended Oosterized company. They're part of that program. And normally the yarn quality ranges in 5 to 25% of the Ooster statistics. They're also ISO 9000 and 14001 registered. They produce about 25,000 tons of yarn annually. And I think they have about 450,000 spindles underneath their control. Next slide, please. So having visited the company in, as I said, December of 2019, at the request of the company, we went back to see them in May 2020. We went back to spend a few days there as our normal procedure. We usually go along and try and see if we can help people and how we can help them. So this first visit in May was undertaken with our Chinese specialist on the ground and with the rest of the members of the team joining him either through the HoloLens technology or through the Teams technology at the end of the day. It was clear from the data that we saw during the May visit that Ueda were not getting the value that they should have been in terms of the yield that they could or should have expected from the good US upland cotton that we're purchasing. Next slide, please. This slide shows you the waste. We took this photograph during the May visit. We went to the waste compactor in the blow room, and you can see from this slide that they were extracting a lot of good fiber in the blow room. Our visit also showed that there were opportunities to improve the yield, not only in the blow room, but in carding and combing. The waste losses in all three of these processes were far too high. There were many other things that we could help them with about the operations, but we felt that it was important that we began our intervention with an attack on the waste levels in all these areas. And you can see from the picture there that at least a good place to start would be in the blow room. Next, please. Slide. Yeah. During the visit in May, the customer mentioned that they were having some problems with contamination in a recent delivery that they'd had of the US cotton. You can see on the photograph, hopefully on the left, a dark fiber running along the bale. I hope the photograph is clear enough for you. And also under UV light, they were complaining about some fluorescence that they had seen in the bales. Next slide, please. While we were there in May, our technical team member, and I'll start to call him Frank instead of using the long name. You saw his photograph in Jorg's presentation. Frank gathered some samples of both the dark fiber in the cotton and from the fluorescence, and sent them to me in the UK, and I sent them down to Shirley Technologies, for scientific analysis. Many of you will be familiar with Shirley. They used to be called the Shirley Institute, but they've been in business 100 years, and they do testing for people from all over the world. Interestingly enough, their report showed that the dark fiber contamination that was in the bales came from regenerated cellulosic fiber, possibly cupro or lyso, but definitely not US cotton. And in our opinion, the bales have been reconstituted somewhere in that long chain between leaving the US and arriving at the mill in China. Next slide, please. That suspicion was confirmed while when Frank had identified that. They called their local merchant in China from whom they bought this cotton. They brought them to the mill, and they shared with them the results of the Shirley analysis. And unusually, the merchant immediately gave them some monetary compensation, which I think, as we said, I think that confirmed the suspicion we'd had that somewhere along the line, these bales have been broken down and reconstituted. The other good news from the Shirley report was that the fluorescence that they'd seen was caused by hydrocarbon mineral oil, which itself was water soluble and would not affect in any way the dyeability, and would have been removed in the early parts of any wet processing. Next slide, please. So we presented our observations to UADA at the end of May, but we didn't get the report from Shirley until the middle of July, and then we forwarded the results of those of that Shirley study to UADA in August. I think that UADA were both surprised and impressed that we had used an independent testing facility rather than something like Cotton Incorporated that was obviously part of the US cotton setup, that we'd use that independent facility. I think that this is a value service that we offer to our customers. We've done it a number of times, and we think that this really was a key to establishing a relationship of trust and transparency with UADA, which is very important in the kind of work that the tech team tries to do. Next slide, please. So as I said, the end of May, we presented the results, and then we had a discussion with them about the results and about the whole visit that we made in May. And we explained to them the use of the HoloLens technology and how we would use it to look into more detail at the steps we could take to improve their yield. And I think by this time, our previous interactions with them had established our credibility with the senior management. And so when we offered them a VMD visit, they happily accepted. Next slide, please. Unfortunately, at the end of May, they had virtually kind of finished all the US cotton they had. And so when we were speaking to them in August, they were waiting to have a fresh delivery of US cotton. So obviously we couldn't do anything with our VMD or virtual mill doctor visit until the 4,000 tons of cotton that they were expecting arrived in November. You see below the team that we decided to use on the program. So Frank is our local guy on the ground in China. We decided to use VJ on this project to support Frank, with Jorg and myself being available also. Next slide, please. The idea was that Frank and VJ every morning would meet up in the mill. Frank obviously was in China wearing the HoloLens, and the VJ was actually, because of COVID, he'd gone back to stay with family in India. So we had Frank in China, VJ in India. And then at the end of the day, after they'd made their tour of the mill, made their observations, which with the HoloLens, of course, you can record. At the end of the day, Jorg and I would join Frank and VJ using the Teams technology, and we discussed what they'd seen during the day, and we try and give some guidance as what we thought should be the next steps in our intervention. Next slide, please. We discussed and agreed with UAID from the outset that the main opportunities for cost reduction would be achieved by reducing the levels of waste in the blow room, in carding, and at the coma. In any project of this kind, the first step is basically that you have to establish a baseline of where you're starting from, so that then any of the changes you make, you can measure them and to see what improvement you've achieved. Once we'd agreed the baseline, we then carried out a series of small, controlled, progressive trials with obviously the main objective of reducing the waste percentage. But equally importantly, we had to maintain the levels of final yarn quality for which UAID are rightly famous. Next slide, please. So, as the technicians in the audience will know, it's very important in the blow room and in opening and cleaning that the fiber that leaves the blow room is well opened with small flocks if carding is to be really optimized. We noticed during our earlier visit that the beta speeds that they were running were quite low. And we felt that one of the things we would need to do will be to achieve that objective of having well opened tufts, that we would need to increase some of the settings in the department. So we increased the beta speed in the finer cleaner from 490 to 574 revs a minute. We also made adjustments to some of the grid bars, moving from a 6 to a 3. And on the fine cleaner, we increased the beta speed up from 496 to 586 revs per minute. Next slide, please. We also adjusted the gauge between the knife and the beta from 1 millimeter to 2 millimeters. What this did was it gave us a reduction of almost 4% in the blow room waste. And the two photographs you see on the right-hand side of the slide is the before. So that's the one I showed you from the waste compactor during our initial visit. And this is the one afterwards, taken again from the waste compactor, but during the work in November. As you can see, the most important thing is that we've taken out a lot more dust and trash than previously. And instead of taking out good, clean white fiber, we were taking out what the blow room should really be doing. Next slide, please. Yeah. In carding, the first thing we noticed when we looked at the data and we looked at the cleaning efficiency card to card, there was a very, very significant difference between individual cards. And then when we started to look at the collection of the waste and how cleaning efficiencies and things were being measured, we were unhappy with the data that we were getting from UADA and their use of the waste box. So in order to establish the baseline that we wanted, Frank collected and calculated the waste himself manually over an extended period of an hour. We then agreed with the local management that we would make adjustments and monitor initially just 3 cards. This is the step-by-step approach they always take when we're doing this kind of work. We like to start off small with something that we control, we can measure and see if what we're suggesting to people really is helping them. Next slide, please. This is a diagram from the cards that they have or in this particular part of the UADA factory that we were looking at. This was always going to be a bit of a challenge to our team because most of the mills that we visit around the world and in Southeast Asia have either European or Indian equipment, and we don't see and haven't had a lot of experience dealing with Chinese cards in some of the work that we've done. These particular cards were installed in the mill back in 2002, so the technology was quite old. Initially, we couldn't understand some of the results we were getting because we were making changes in the liquor in zone, and instead of reducing the waste, which we'd hope, in fact, we were seeing the opposite effect often, and the waste percentages were increasing. Then Frank discovered that there was a 50 millimeter plate that was missing from the 3 cards we were working on, that would have reduced the S1 graph that you see on the slide here, on the diagram here. It would reduce that from 71 to 56 millimeters. Fortunately, Frank went in the spare parts store and he found that for some reason that we never got an explanation of, they'd taken off these plates when the cards were first installed. But fortunately, they still retain them in the department. So we refitted these plates to the 3 cards that we had started to work on. We made other adjustments too in the liquor in zone. we made adjustments to the speeds of the flats and in the post-carding sections. And at the end, on those 3 cards, we'd achieved a 2% reduction in the waste that they were losing during carding. But I think more importantly, we identified to them that the way they were using the liquor in zone on these cards, there was a design fault, and those plates needed to be fitted on all cards. They had some later generation of cards from the same manufacturer, and when we looked at those later cards, I think they were from 2008, you could see very clearly that they had actually changed the design configuration. The card manufacturer had changed the design configuration in the newer cards. So we recommended to UADA that they should contact their card manufacturer and politely suggest that perhaps together they could work to bring all these older cards up to the technology level that would be needed in the liquor in zone. If they were able to work something out in this area, that would add another 2% of waste recovery from the cards. So in total, we would be taking 4% less out of the cards than they were doing previously. We were also able to give them a name of a company who actually does this kind of work on liquor in modification for people other than the actual machinery manufacturer. Next slide, please. In combing, it was the same story. We decided that there needed to be a number of significant things that we could do on the combers. And again, we started out small by requesting from UADA that we could do this work on just 3 combers to begin with. As you can see from the photograph, the combs that they had installed were from Rita. And in fact, when Frank had been with Rita and was working as their combing specialist, he'd actually visited UADA previously in his other life and helped them to train some of their coma technicians. I think the most important change that we made was, if I remember, at the recommendation of VJ, and we changed the direction of feed on the combers from backwards to forwards. We also made adjustments in the feed amount, the top comb penetration, and the detaching distance. We carried out a number of different trials. Our most successful trial reduced the noil percentage from the initial 22.32% that they were taking out. We got that down to 17.9, but then when we followed the new comb sliver through the system, we saw a slight increase in hairiness in the yarn, and we were not happy that we were meeting that second objective, which was to maintain the very high quality of UADA's yarn. One of the trials that we did that had 0 impact on yarn quality produced a noil percentage of 19.8%, which was still an improvement of 2.5% over what they were achieving. And so this was the number that we used in our financial calculations. UADA had also installed 13 needle combs on these machines for a problem that they were experiencing previously with NEPs. With the cotton that they were currently using during our visit, and with the adjustments that we had made in pre-combing and combing, we felt that they could go back to using 26 needle combs, which they had originally, and that they would gain further improvements, not only in yarn quality, but even marginally, maybe a little bit in the yield. we also suggested that perhaps they should try one of the circular combs that are now available on the market. Next slide, please. So this slide shows what would be the impact of the changes that we've made in the blow room, in the cards, and in combing if applied plant-wide. As I said, we'd only done our work initially on 3 cards, but I think both we and the management were very satisfied that the changes that we made worked, and the next step for them was to apply these settings in all the cards and all the combers. Next slide, please. So, as Jörg stressed during his presentation, our objective in the tech team is to support the mantra that spinning yarn is not about making yarn, it's about making money. And we always try to evaluate the financial impact of what we've done. If they apply what we've recommended to them across the board through all the machines, then based on the raw material costs that they were paying for the US cotton at the time of our visit, which was, if you remember, last November, that was 88 cents a pound. And based on the 1,400 metric tons that they were using per month, applying what we've said to them would give them annual savings of almost $1.6 million. Now, obviously, you have to reduce from this the revenue that they were getting from selling their coma and carding waste. And incidentally, interestingly enough, during this visit, they were able to sell their coma waste for 4 cents a pound more than they were paying for the initial raw material. If they had persuade the machinery manufacturer to work with them to change the liquor in setup as we'd recommended, this would take that 1.6 million up to almost $2 million annually. Next slide, please. So the future with UADA and CCI. They were obviously very happy with our visit, as we were, because it was our first use of the VMD technology in China. So we were very happy too with the result, obviously. And they asked us at the wrap-up meeting that we had, would we continue to work with them and help them with the other opportunities that we'd identified to them. What they're doing right now is that they have been implementing the recommendations that we made on a plant-wide basis. The general manager who joined us for the wrap-up meeting committed them to buying more US cotton on the basis of the work and the assistance that they've achieved with us. And what will happen is, and this is normal practice again with the solutions program, when we've done a mill intervention, we follow up 6 months after we've made an intervention. If it's going to be an intervention, then we leave. But when somebody makes certain promises to us about what they're going to do, we follow up to see in 6 months and then in 12 months to check if they've kept their promises. And as I said, we've also much more that we can do for them. So Frank will be going back and working with them going forward. One of the things we did during the final wrap-up session was we asked for their permission to be able to use the work that we'd done with them as a case study, so that we could talk publicly about the success of the intervention, and they gladly agreed. And we believe that by being able to show people the impact that we can achieve with the tech team. That this will enhance our mission around the world, not only in China, but in all the markets that we serve. Slide, please. So I'm going to show you some appendices very briefly. This is a very nice plaque that they presented to Frank at the end of the visit, which, as you can see, the translation on the right, they thanked us for our outstanding technical service, and let's work together for a win-win outcome. So that's the plaque. Next slide, please. One of the things that happens with any intervention by the solutions team is the CCI headquarters in Washington send out to the customer a technical team follow-up survey to see how we are done. And you can see here some of the results of that. So, okay, which country did the mill take place, the name of the mill, the dates. Next slide, please. Name of the cotton consultant. So you can see FL, that was Frank. And then which of the following describes your main reason for having Cotton USA? So this, and there are 5 pages of this stuff. Basically, though, if we go to page 4, next slide. Next slide. So what aspects of the consultant's visit were you least satisfied with? Well, fortunately, they said none. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be showing you this page. Would you like a follow-up visit from the US technical team? Yes, please. And then from our point of view, importantly at the bottom, if you selected yes, how much additional US cotton do you believe that you will purchase in the next year? And they say an extra 15,000 tons, which will be super should they do this. And next slide, please. How did Cotton USA technical team help your business? By optimizing our technology and making technical adjustments, our products are more competitive in the market, while overall cost has been reduced. So that's what both they and we wanted to hear. Last slide, please. I've included this table, which shows you some of the adjustments and the trials that we did on the various machines, the before and after situation, and what happened in terms of the waste change. Next slide, please. So, next slide. Next slide, please. Maybe there isn't a next slide.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. I just wanted to, again, thank, as Jörg did, for the invitation to speak to you today. I too hope to be in India before too long. I had my first injection with the Pfizer vaccine about 2 weeks ago. I'm due to have the second one on May the 5th, and hopefully then we'll be back on the road and coming my first step when I get off the plane will be to find a restaurant and go and have some aloo gobi, which is one of my favorite. Muted.
Yeah. Thanks, Roger. And surely once you are in India, we will find you a good restaurant for your aloo gobi, definitely. And once again, thank you very much. And I think some of the key messages that we should take from Raj's presentation today is that if you are looking for a win-win outcome, then you know a place where to go. So Cotton USA is solution is the right option for you when you're looking for win-win outcomes. The other thing is this,
we'd love to do what we did with UADA with a mill in India. That would be really, I think, interesting for both of us. If anything comes out of today, hopefully maybe we can repeat the UADA exercise with one of the better mills in India.
Yes, absolutely. If UADA can do it, we can also do it here in India. And I think the message is very clear that let's make the most from US cotton and the upland cotton, where we're talking about. So we are almost towards the end of the session. We have almost ran a little bit over time. So we have a couple of questions for our participants on the panel today. So one of the questions, Jorg, we have is why, I think you've already answered it, but still I will want to put it up for you, is why generally US cotton has higher nets. Is it due to ginning practices?
Yes, as I have mentioned in my presentation, it's actually, yes, due to the ginning process and also due to mechanical harvesting. Yeah, these are the main reasons. Yeah.
Thank you. And
but
the
it's
other question
mechanical
that
naps, as I said, mechanical naps. I'm sorry, and mechanical naps. It's easier to remove them in carding, low room, and combing.
Thank you, Jorg. And the other question is, if there is a mill who is not using US cotton presently, so will they also be able to use the Cotton USA Solution Services, or how do they go about it?
It's the strategy is, if someone never uses used US cotton in the past, so obviously we want them to make them use in the future. So then we would come at least to do an audit. That is the first step in our one-on-one mill consult. So we would do an audit, and then we would try and see how we can help them, as I said, right? And the next step would then be a field service, and the field service for this only licensees and USDCP Trust Protocol members are eligible for that. So, but an audit we can do to any mill, because we want to convince anyone to use US cotton.
Thank you, Jorg. And I think one more question is regarding how much time do you really need to be dedicated for the audit services or our in-field services? How much time do we really need for these services? I mean, how much time do they spend with you?
An audit usually lasts 1 day, half a day, 1 day. So I would come, we would talk first with the team. They would explain the problems that they are having, right? And then we would organize a short audit, a tour through the mill, which lasts 2-3 hours. And after that, we sit again, and then we exchange, or I would then tell what I've seen and where would be areas where we could be of help for them. So that would be the typical audit day. A field service, in turn, that, as I also try to explain, that lasts longer. A field service, 3-4 days, and it could be even last longer. And what Roger just explained, that VMD session in UADA, that lasts over weeks.
Thank you, Jorg. So audit is generally 1 day, and then we have a 3 to 4 days visit with the mills who want in-field service. So exactly. I think we are coming very close to our session, and I think there are 2 more questions. And
yeah, I think the other thing to add, Push.
I think
Roger, one of the things to add, Push, is obviously if they're not using US cotton, and if they're not using US cotton, and if we think we can help them, one of the things we would obviously ask them to do is to buy some US cotton, so that when our specialists visited the mill, we'd be working with US cotton and not with cotton from somewhere else.
Yeah, so that is a very essential component. They have to work on the US cotton. Yeah, they have to work on the US cotton. So that is one of the very important arguments that we have. So one of the other questions that has come up was in the recent budget, the recent union budget, there was an announcement of the import duty. So all the cotton that is coming to India is now going to have a duty of 10%. So the question that has come up, will it impact US cotton? That's what they've asked us, that will the imports of US cotton be impacted in India? So my response will be a little different on this. Is if you have seen Roger's presentation today, he has shown that there have been improvement in the yield to an extent of 4.9%. So that is something that we can always assure you is that through our technical services, if you have bought US cotton, we will definitely be of some kind of help to reduce that margin. So that is something that you have to think of, when you look. And plus, the quality is always improving. And then the other question that has come up is if there are mills who want to buy more sustainable cotton in US. So we have a platform called US Cotton Trust Protocol. And we are going to have another webinar on US Cotton Trust Protocol on the sustainability of US cotton on Friday. So if somebody is interested in hearing more about the sustainability of US cotton, they can register for that session and they can, understand more about the sustainability of US cotton. And one more final question. I don't know if we will be able to answer it right away, or maybe we can answer it later also. It says, what is the lowest leaf trash percentage by weight in US cotton, and what is the ideal region to pick up 41.3 staple grade 1332 28 GPT cotton? So this is another specific question about cotton buying that has come up. Anybody, if you would like to take that?
Oh, that is really a very in-depth question, and it's hard to answer just like that on the spot. So really, as you said, I would recommend that we'll get the email address from the lady or from the gentleman, and then we're going to answer in detail on that question.
But one of the things I could add, Poosh, is that in the mill mastery courses that we're offering, one of the first modules that we've done is we talk to people about US cotton and all the various parameters, etc., etc. So if people really want to understand about what cottons they should be using for the yarns they want to spin for the customers they want to serve, we can obviously help them to do that when we actually get to work with them. But the mill mastery courses, one of them, and which we've already presented once, is going to be very helpful to customers in that area.
Thanks, Roger. So mill mastery is our response to that, and then we'll get back to them on the specific query. So now this brings us towards the end of our session now. And before we close, on behalf of Cotton Council International, we are very thankful to you to be with us for today for our technical webinar session in 2021. And we will be having this continuity also in the future, so you can attend on the various other topics. And I'm very thankful to the Textile Magazine and our speakers, Roger and Job, to be with us and taking their time. And as I mentioned to you, later this week, we're going to have a sustainability webinar on the initiatives of US cotton industry in the area of sustainability. We would have sustainability experts from some of the leading brand and retailers who would be sharing their insights. So I would request you to please join this session as well. And we would keep you informed about our next technical webinar session. And until then, stay safe and healthy. And thank you very much once again. So over to you.
Thank you very much for watching and listening. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we come to the end of this thought-provoking webinar. I thank everyone for attending the webinar. Special thanks to Mr. Jörg Bowersax and Mr. Roger Gilmartin, and a very, very special thanks to Mr. Piyush and his team who've been working tirelessly for the last couple of weeks to bring out the successful webinar. See you all again in our next webinar. So until then, stay tuned and stay safe. This is Ganesh Kalidasan signing off. Bye.
Thanks, Ganesh. Thanks, Japan. Bye-bye.